My dear brothers and sisters, this is a follow-up on our second video on the subject, Is Nothing Sacred Anymore? This is part 3, Creating Our Tomorrows. First, let me take a moment again to repaint the picture of concern, the degrading and disturbing scene which has become so commonplace at our functions, weddings, yajnas, havans, wakes, funerals. This is where we find groups of our own people, brothers, sisters, cousins, in our society who are gathered around the car trunks in the parking lots or in the streets, drinking alcohol and representing us in such a shameful way. In our first video, we described the embarrassing problem which plagues our Guyanese, American, Canadian, and even the Trinidad American societies. In our second video, we stressed on the idea that those of us who knows better can and should do better, and that we should always lead by example. In this video today, let's talk a little bit about the consequences of our behaviors and a slightly different perspective of what others, what society sees when we do that. Over the years, I've had many talks with people who engage in the parking lot drinking out of the car trunks. And without exception, they all told me about the numerous problems in their lives that they're experiencing. Now, those brothers and sisters of ours need to question the karma which they are creating for themselves in this life. They really do not understand that their role, their behavior today, their actions today are creating what happens in their lives tomorrow. This is law of karma. Please understand the statement which those of you who know me have heard me say this dozens of times in my sermons. If we want to change what happens in our lives, we must change the things we do. And to change the things we do, we must change how we think. It all begins with thought. Those who engage in that despicable drinking out of the car trunk parties obviously do not understand that when they conduct themselves in this manner and when they behave in such an immoral way, that all they are doing is bringing negative energies into their own lives, creating not good karmas, and that their lives simply cannot and will not get any better. They do not understand that when you conduct yourselves in a respectable manner, when you choose to say good, when you choose to do good and to spread goodness, when you choose to be compassionate, kind, tolerant, and respectful to everyone else, that you are indeed creating good karmas for yourself, and that your tomorrows, your next week, and your next year will get better and better. It is sad that those who choose to denigrate their religion, our religion, their basic human moral code, and engage in this kind of behavior will begin going to mandir or church only when their own karmas result in terrible events in their own lives, events which they themselves would have created, but they have not connected to their own actions. And yes, I have dared to articulate here that which is somehow treated as a taboo subject by most, something which is not often openly discussed, even in our churches and mandirs. I know that there will be those of you who will want to defend this moral decay of our Hindu society. To you, I say go ahead and defend your behavior. because to the rest of humanity, it will be like screaming into the wind. It is just gone. For I do not believe for a minute that any self-respecting person will provide a listening ear or even a nod of agreement to your words of self-justification. Finally, I'd like to provide a perspective of what others see of the people huddled around the open car trunk drinking. While the drinking is going on in the parking lot of the funeral home or out in the street, we know that most of the self-respecting people are inside, or at least away from that behavior. They don't want to be associated with that behavior. It reminds me of a scene in one of the documentaries I was watching about the use of drugs. This very depressing clip showed a group of emaciated people huddled under the overpass of a highway, stoned out of their minds on whatever it was they were smoking, injecting, or sniffing. Now imagine for a moment that you're passing by and that you see this scene. What would you think? Would you feel pity? Would you feel sorry for them? My friends, this is exactly what others see and think when they witness our own brothers and sisters huddled around the open car trunks in the parking lot or out in the street, trying hard to be unnoticed as you walk by while they're consuming the things that intoxicates them. Please do not feel that we are picking on you or anyone. Society has set a certain moral standard. Most religions have set a certain somewhat higher level of moral code, but each person will adjust their own moral standard up or down based on their individual level of thinking and possibly spiritual growth. Please, my fellow souls, if you feel that you're addicted to this kind of behavior and you need to talk to someone, please feel free to reach out to myself, your local priests, your local pandits, your parents, your teachers, your trusted friend, or of course, the Almighty God. I pray for you and with you that God grant us all the ability and the opportunity and the mental strength to find the motivation to rise above whatever level of thinking we are at this moment. May God bless you to be able to rationalize, to choose wisely, and to join us as together we continue on this journey called life. May God bless you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om.